This country is incredibly efficient at punishing people, but that's not the full solution towards any social problem. The other part of it is rehabilitating them and helping them to re-enter, and then what happens to them. It started with getting an email from a friend of mine, Jameer Kwan. He lives in Milwaukee, and he told me that there was someone who wanted to make a documentary about her work in the field of expungement. She wanted to make a documentary showing the before and after of people who have a record, and then after an expungement, how their lives change. And she wanted to showcase how tremendous that impact is. She didn't see herself as the main subject. She wanted to showcase the people who she had helped, but I felt that her story was very emblematic of what happens in this system. So I turned the camera on her and wanted to share her story and reflect that with the stories of some of the people that she's helped in the past. Throughout that entire time, they've been working on a reform bill in Wisconsin. And every time it's passed the state assembly unanimously by an audible vote for the last 5 years. It's been stuck in the Senate, and so they're pushing it through once more. I really hope we can, just bring this documentary around the country, hopefully to a stage like Cleveland International, and help people in Wisconsin know about this issue and push for real change. My brother had a misdemeanor from a senior prank he did. After 5 years of paying the fees, going to the community service to fulfill his hours, meeting with his parole officer, he was eligible to get that expunged off his record, and he did. And we had a big party for that. And so he is a great example of what we can do for people without them having those collateral consequences for 10, 20 years. Because he was able to get his life back, he's now the head of marketing for a furniture company. There's no way he would have gotten that with a record on him. In our documentary, Carrie had a criminal record, and she relied on her male partners throughout their next few years of life for a place to live, because she couldn't apply for an apartment in her name. And that makes her incredibly dependent on others in a sense that could be violent to her, could be dangerous to her and her kids. They have families, and being unable to help them or be the parent that they need to be creates collateral consequences for their family. Now we have generational inequality in that sense. This is something that affects more than just their job even. Expungement affects their self-esteem. You see a lot of people who don't think they're even worthy of doing things that we do as normal citizens, like voting, applying for those jobs that they want, applying for apartments that they want. They don't think of themselves as worthy because they have this mark on themselves. And oftentimes these records come from when they hit rock bottom, either hitting a form of drug use or an addiction or level of abuse. And so this is part of themselves in a way that they want to move past, but that record is a big part of what's keeping them mentally locked away. Trista and I, when we were kids, we were shooting YouTube videos, and we were talked by the police because we had an airsoft gun, because we were shooting a video that involved it, but we didn't get arrested for it. We were just told to leave the park and don't do that again. So we made mistakes as kids. There are people who make similarly non-serious mistakes, or even more serious mistakes, but they're not something that should be impacting them for the rest of their life. That mistake doesn't define us. It doesn't define them exactly in that way either. And even if you're not a perfect person, you deserve to have forgiveness. You deserve to have a second chance at life, a third chance even, because you can become a better person. I just can't imagine if you don't have that second chance, what life becomes and what kind of direction that takes. I think freedom is one of those incredibly understated values that we take for granted, especially when one of our key policies in America is to take a lot of people's freedom away as a form of punishment.